Hey everybody, we're back again with another review. This time it's going to be Avowed. I just actually finished it up a couple of days ago, kind of giving it some time to marinate, think about it. So in the meantime, I've been playing Monster Hunter Wilds, which absolutely fucking phenomenal so far. Um, that will be probably coming in weeks. I may do an initial review and then an after. I'm not too sure yet, but so far I'm balls deep into that game. So getting back to Avowed. Um, I know I'm probably a little bit late to the game to get a review going on, but nonetheless, here I am, and I really would like to share my thoughts on this game, especially with all the conspiracy and chatter that's been going on about this game, throughout the mainstream media, other game journalists, things of that nature. So let's just get straight into it. So, first thoughts of this game, honestly, going into it, I was looking at some gameplay and stuff like that, from Asmin or Co or other content creators of that nature. And what really got me into the game was just overall the way that it looked, the overall visual appeal, and how the combat kind of synergizes with with all the different weapons, skills, build variety, diversity, all that good stuff. So that was ultimately what drove me to play this game. So going into it, all of those things kind of just met my expectations in regards to all of those kind of characteristics that I had mentioned before. So honestly, I really don't have much bad to say about visually the game looks incredible. The game actually overexceeded the way it looked because obviously when you're watching on stream, everything's kind of compressed. You have bitrate to deal with. Excuse me. You have bitrate to deal with, compression, all kind of these different factors that don't really give you the true visual detail that the game provides. So going into the game visually, when I first stepped foot into Dawn Shore and seeing Paradise and the surrounding areas of it, I was taken back because that looked incredible. A lot of people say that it looks like a mobile game or it looks too, Fortnite-ish, whatever. I think that's bullshit. And I'm gonna get into a lot of the reasons why I think the hate for the game is in a few ways forced because the game really does do a lot of things right. And visuals is one of them by far. Going into the way the world is built and the way the world looks. Going into the animation of the skills, more or less the spells aspect of it. My build, I kind of did like a two hander. I did a main two hand and an off pistol and Grimlock kind of deal. So kind of spellblade if you want to get to that, but um, you know the magic spells, the animations are great. Melee, melee, the animations are kind of what and what. I don't think I really feel like they didn't put as much effort into making the melee animation as they did with the spells. But honestly, what more could you possibly do with melee animations versus spells? So, eh, I'm really not going to press on it because honestly, it's more or less a non-issue. But in terms of the skill animations for spells, amazing. Um, the way all the armors are detailed, the way how all the armors look, the way how when you upgrade, when you go from common to uncommon all the way up to legendary, how like your base armors kind of scale with look per level. I think it's pretty cool. I wish it kind of did the same thing with uniques, but well, once again, another non-issue. Um, Same thing with your base weapons leveling up. Again, I wish it did the same thing with uniques, but nothing to really press onto. And you know, things of that nature. The detail of the characters, such as Yahtzee. I don't even know the race name of them to be completely honest with you, or even Kai. The details and, for instance, Kai scales or details into Yahtzee's fur, I think are really impressive. So overall, the game is just visually impressive and has met every single mark. I really I can go on and on about it, but I'm just not because you kind of get the idea. getting into how the world is built, I think me personally, a lot of people compare this game to Skyrim, which in my opinion is fair and it's not fair. It's fair in the sense of you have a game that came out in 2011 and was way ahead of its time. You can say the same thing about Morrowind, Oblivion, all that stuff. But in terms of Skyrim, Skyrim pretty much set the foundation of what a sandbox ARPG slash RPG should be. Now, in comparison to Avowed, Avowed's world was strictly built for itself, if that makes sense, right? Avowed was not built for you as the character to go in and make, changes using engine functionality like Skyrim does. It's very hard to compare the games because while yes they're the same, they're both very 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 different. I feel like Avowed should be treated as just your regular run of the mill linear RPG game. I mean, you really can't put much of an RPG emphasis on that other than you're given dialogue choices and build variety. But how the world is built with how intricately detailed and structured it is, I think it's unfair to compare it to Skyrim. Now, me personally, I prefer the linear built and structured worlds versus the open sandbox worlds because, as a player, if you don't have the creativeness to go in and kind of make the world yours as a sandbox should be, you kind of feel overwhelmed and you really don't know where to go. Like for instance, as soon as you hit Whiterun in Skyrim, you're free to go and do whatever you may want, right? Versus Avowed, you can't immediately offer up lead parties, go to Emerald Stair and do whatever you want, right? It's structured in that way, and I prefer the structure, and then I prefer to pretty much build the world once it's complete, and then go do the thing that you want. Personal preference. Me personally, I know this may be a hot take, but I personally think Skyrim is not as good as everyone should place it on a pedestal to be. I think Skyrim does a lot of things bad, especially with their combat. And if Avowed and Skyrim were to come out at the same time, right, and Skyrim was to be built the exact same way, let's just take for instance Starfield. If Avowed and Skyrim were to come out at the same time, and I was to choose which one to pick, I would honestly pick Avowed because I just feel like Avowed just feels better to play and in some ways looks a lot better because when comparing this game to Skyrim, Skyrim does something well that a lot of games even nowadays don't do well, and that is creating this world and making you as a character feel as if you're scaled into it. So like, and then creating the sense of spectacle. So for instance, when you were to go to, let's just say Whiterun, or fuck, I forgot all of these different city names, or the main Dwemer city, or and you was to go into these places and you would actually see them and look around and literally makes you feel like the city is real, the city is there. Which where Avowed definitely by far misses the mark in comparison to Skyrim because all the cities just feel dead. They did their best using, placeholders for NPCs to stand there. Like it's like you're just walking around a still picture. Versus, if they were going for this, huge, and if they were to advertise the game as this huge open world RPG, blah blah blah, then they could have at least made the cities feel more alive. I mean, every single city you go into, you have, wife and you have a wife and a husband sitting somewhere. You have some random fucking guy sweeping the ground, and then you have these children playing, and then pretty much all the vendors sell the same shit. All the towns virtually feel the exact same because all the points of interest are placed in a way that's easily accessible for you. There is no exploring the city unless you arbitrarily go out your way to start climbing shit. So I really do feel like visually the cities look great, but functionally The cities are incredibly fucking boring. Um, so I'm gonna stop comparing to Skyrim because I know this is like comparing this game to Skyrim is the big talk. So these are just my points that I'm making. So the cities are just incredibly fucking boring if we're gonna compare them to Skyrim. Um, getting into some more dialogue and decision making mechanics or just overall interaction with the world. You know, you another thing that Skyrim does really well, and like I said, even though I'm naming all these good things about Skyrim, the game does not sit that high in terms of how good the game is in my opinion. But what Skyrim does really well is you meet all these different groups of people and you're actually able to join them, such as the werewolves or the Thieves Guild or the Dark Brotherhood. Or even become a vampire later on. You're able to join all of these different factions and guilds and all that stuff. Versus in Avowed, you're introduced to the Steel Garrote. You're introduced to the Animancers. You're introduced to the Archmages. You're introduced to all these different groups and factions and people, but that's all they are. It's just groups, factions, people placed inside of a story, just meant for you to interact with them, not actually engage with them. So I feel like it's kind of unfair to compare that to Skyrim though, because Skyrim was built with that sandbox mentality of yes, let's let the player join these guilds, let's let the player explore these stories, let's let the player actually engage in more video game mechanics implemented to make the game more fun and open the world up to more opportunities, going back to the whole sandbox ordeal, which is not fair to compare to About, in my opinion. So I can see why they didn't do that, but I do feel like with a $70 price tag, there should have definitely been something there for the player to do and to engage with these different people. So I feel like that's where they missed the mark, especially with the $70 price tag. Um, moving more onwards to class diversity, game mechanics, things like that. I think Avowed does. I think this is something Avowed does really well. Um, you know, in a sense of it, it is kind of basic because you can, pretty much any RPG nowadays, you can kind of do the exact same thing. Even MMOs like Thrones of Liberty, you can literally do this exact same shit in Throne of Liberty. So it's not nothing new, but it's something that the game does really well, and it makes the combat especially more engaging. My opinion, if we're gonna sit here and compare it to Skyrim, I find the combat to be more engaging in this game than I would in Skyrim. I mean, let's be honest, right? Um, Now, sometimes the combat can be a little bit boring, especially when you get into the end game. And I'm gonna get into the end game later, but sometimes the combat can be a little bit boring because some enemies, the enemies scale with your gear. So, for instance, if you're looking at this and you see the little orange V, or the orange, Roman numeral, whatever. All that stuff scales to your gear. So, you have to upgrade your gear in order for you to do more damage, aka or more stun to the enemies. And ultimately that's what makes you stronger. It isn't stronger by level, it isn't stronger by strength. It's ultimately the game is incredibly, gear based. So, um I think the combat and the overall gear regression Avowed does really well. The only thing I do wish that Avowed did have to help would be like some kind of a bestiary or some kind of material playbook, so you know where to go within the world to go farm for materials for you to be able to upgrade your gear. There was points in the beginning where I needed, monster fangs or some shit, and I had no idea where to go to go get any of it. Right, I had to pretty much look it up, and I'd rather just be engaged in the bestiary to know where to go and what to look for and what to farm versus having to, go find some fucking Reddit thread to figure it out. So, that's one of the things I think Avowed does really well. Another thing I think Avowed does really well, and I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I think Avowed created their characters really well. I think Avowed did something, with the player engaging with the characters, your party members, or any pertinent character in the store, such as the ambassador or Kulichi. or any other people in Thirdborn. I think Avowed did that really, really, really well. Um, the only thing I don't think Avowed did really well was, for instance, like when you get to Thirdborn, and then you have to make the decision as to whether or not to cut off the Adra at its root to not spread anymore with Ringram, or allow the Steel Garrote and Ludwig to go in and kill all of the existing Dream Thralls to just kind of give like a temporary stop. And I made the decision to cut the Adra off, which the kickback to that was people within the world would die due to the essence overflow needed. So whatever. I thought making the decision that I'm about to walk into a town, and when you first get into the game's pretty brutal. You walk in, I mean, you get your boat crashes, you go into the castle, you go to the Iderian castle, and then you see all these things, you see all these people, all these monsters slaughtered everywhere visually. But yet, when I made the decision, I go back to Thirdborn, the city's just dead. There's nothing. Nobody makes any kind of comment, or there's no revelation as to what the decision made and how it impacted the story or the world. It's just like people acted as if it was business as usual. Now, granted, the city felt a little bit more dead. It felt a little bit more quiet as if people were gone, but it had no impact on the story, which was honestly kind of a bummer because I was waiting for something like, holy shit, like, there's dead people everywhere, or some kind of like an ash burn everywhere. There's something to indicate that these people are dead and gone, and there's nothing. So that was kind of a bummer. Another thing that I didn't really like either was I made the decision to kill Ludwig. So we go all the way to the end. They're making this huge crazy thing. You see a gigantic Maeg folk killing or slaughtering or doing whatever in the town. You don't actually see it. You just kind of see a body in the foreground. And or the background, sorry. And it's like you go all the way here. You kill Ludwig the first time. Well, I killed Ludwig the first time, and then I'm going to kill her for the second time, and it's like nothing. Like there's no build up. There's no like once and for all commentary or dialogue. It just happens, and then you go and kill Ludwig, and you kill her, and she's just gone. She's just gone, and it quite literally rolls to credits. So I'm like, what the hell, whatever. I was kind of just left dumbfounded because I felt like the story up to the last hour or the last couple of hours was great. It was I'm not gonna say it was super compelling, like there was no fucking heart turning whatever, but I felt like it was super engaging. I was really, really, really into the story. I really, really, really liked it. And then once we get to this last few hours, it just stopped. And then, I'm going to move on to the other point. Interacting with the characters, I feel like the developers could have found some other way to make it to where you can listen and get engaged in the lore and the story without having to go back to base camp, sit there through fucking 30 minutes per character of dialogue to get rid of these stupid fucking things on over here, right? I'm marking it. I just have a fucking one of my VODs playing. But over here, to get rid of these things, you can't see it. Give me a second. The little fucking talking points right here. You can't see my mouse, but get rid of those things. And and it's just like there had to have been some other way to make that just feel a lot better and then not so tedious. Especially getting into the end of the game, everything just felt like this fucking circle jerk around my character. Oh, we made it, yay! And it's just like you turn into these huge fucking circle jerks with these unnecessary, stupidly long pieces of dialogue, and I'm literally sitting here like, wrap it the fuck up. Like, come on! I'm ready to do this thing. I don't want to sit here and listen to you tell me how strong I am, what you thought of me before, what you think of me now, how we came together as a team, how we're now a family. What the fuck is this? Fucking Fast and Furious? Like, be for real. Is this Fast and Furious we're fucking dealing with here? And it really, really, really started to fucking irk my nerves at that point. So, you know, I felt like the devs can, if through updates or whatever, but hopefully, I think Obsidian's next game is, what is it? Fucking Outer Worlds 2. They found some kind of way to fix that shit, because that just became overly fucking annoying. And then, um, while we're on the topic of characters, moving on to um enemy design, enemy variation. We get, okay. First of all, we get into this giant world, this giant, intricately looking, designed world. Dev said this is huge, it's massive RPG. The enemies we fight are fucking two-legged lizards that are green, red, purple, and then yellow. Okay? Lizards. Four different types of lizards. They're all the same fucking shit, which are Zarbs. Then we get into the Dream Thralls. And then we get skeletons, which the skeletons follow the same fucking color palette bullshit. And then you get spiders, which you get the little spiders, the medium-sized spiders, and then you get the large spiders. And then finally, I want to say, oh, sorry, you get bears. You get young bears, teenage bears. They just literally call them fucking black bears. And then you get elder bears, which are just bigger bears. And they all look the exact same. And then you get and then you get fucking mushrooms. You get like 2 or 3 different types of mushroom. You get a fat ass mushroom. You get a mushroom that throws shit, and you get a mushroom that looks like a little fucking dick chasing after you. That's all you get. That's incredibly fucking boring. That is incredibly fucking boring. I didn't mention this on the Dragon's Dogma 2 review, but Dragon's Dogma 2 suffers the same fucking fate. You get green goblins and black goblins. You get skeletons. You get some ghosts, and then you have a choice between dragons, griffins, trolls, and cyclopses. That's it. That's your game. So, I think I put 50 hours in this game, and that's all I killed was fucking skeletons, lizards, bears, and mushrooms. And then, thankfully, in this last area, and while we're in the garden, we get to fight mage folk. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw. I might be able to skip through a little bit here, but we fight. So on this area, we fight 2 mage folk. Maybe I can get it in real quick when I hit the spell. But the point that I'm getting to here is we're fighting 2 mage folk. One of them, for some reason, I don't know what the black hole spell is, but I don't know if it's a bug or it's intended. Feels like a bug because these things are fucking tanky as shit. Well, when you hit the spell and you pick one of these things up, they instantly die. Let me see if I can get it to happen. Oh, here it is. Yeah, let's see. So, he should be coming down, but then he's gone. He's gone.
Yeah, them things fucking one shot.
Yeah, you literally one shot them. So I don't know if it was a bug. I don't know if it's intended, but yeah, you literally one shot them. But other than that is the second boss. That is like the, what is that, the 6th or the 5th enemy type that you fight, the big folk. So enemy variety is not there at all. So I'm not gonna get too far into with the combat and all that shit. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it, but you get the idea, right? Bottom line is, I think everything other than, I think the way the combat feels and how engaging it is the only good thing that this game has riding for it, because everything else is just incredibly basic and boring. So it is what it is. But honestly, I would rather a game that feels good to play than a game that just looks good and has all these different kind of things to fight, whatever. Now, I think lastly, we can just kind of get into the OST and the score, right? Um, Score is great. The music is awesome. I think it's probably one of the best things that the game has to offer is the music and the score. So I'm really not going to harp on it. I really do think that the score and the OST is really, really good. Especially when you get to certain spaces or places such as the top of the lighthouse in Paradise or Dawn Shore. And when you get to the very top, it's just like just crazy, huge orchestra that's just blaring in your ear, just kind of giving you the sense of wonder and spectacle and scale and all this great stuff. I think I even commented real time that I just thought it was great. So really not much else to say about that. Now, moving on to the ending, decisions, and things like that. I personally, um, I personally didn't like the ending at all. I did not like the ending at all. Even with my choices that were made, I did not like the ending at all. Like I said, here I am fighting Ludwin. I just decided to just skip right through. But even fighting Ludwin, you know, the only thing I forgot to do was talk to Giada to see exactly how to kill her. But I mean, I had to fucking kill this bitch like 4 times. 4 times. Like I said, maybe if I would have talked to Giada, I would have gotten a little bit more, dialogue lore or, whatever, just to know how exactly she dies because the story did not tell at all. You kill her like 4 times. I honestly want to say the last time was a bug. Because when I killed her for the 4th time, she just laid over and died. That was it. She laid over and died, and then the narrator just came in and said, "Oh, we defeated Inquisitor Ludwin. Game over." And then the fucking credits cut. So I really didn't like it. Especially I put almost 60 hours into this game, and all I got was big bad guy dead. Game over.
Wow.
So I'm like, all right, man, whatever. At that point, especially with this, like I said before, especially this last, 20, 2 to 3 hours of the game, I was just over it. I was over it because when you get here, it's like, oh, talk to this guy, talk to this guy, and every single person's like 20, 30 minutes versus worth of dialogue. And then none of it's really interesting. For instance, and I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm not a fan of dialogue. One of my favorite games of all time is Final Fantasy 16. And I actually just beat Death Stranding earlier in the year, so I'm not afraid of cutscenes. But what makes those cutscenes worthwhile is one, they're incredibly interesting. Two, they actually provide some type of impact to the lore and or the story of the game. Meanwhile, this game, you'd be stuck in a fucking 20-minute dialogue about somebody who's about why somebody's fucking plants are dead, or why somebody's fucking zombies halfway across the world, or or why there's fucking horses here and horses there, or somebody's fucking love interest. Like, I don't give a fuck about somebody's love interest. I want to know how does that impact my character in the story. So, and also
Let's see.
another thing that makes me enjoy.
Instantly.
Hold on, did these two die or just one die? Let me see here. Yeah, one's just dead. One's dead.
One
They just
no.
die.
See, I don't know if you saw.
So I think that's bugged. But anyway, um, they don't make the how can I phrase this? They don't make the dialogue portion interesting enough for me to want to sit there and actually engage in it. The animation you get when you're talking to somebody is you're literally just sitting there face to face and you're just listening to them fucking blabber on for 10, 15, 20 minutes about bullshit. It could definitely be something it could definitely be something that they could implement to where you are like either walking around or it's like real time. It's like real time dialogue versus you just sitting there fucking staring at somebody. So another thing that I really find that's just I mean, somebody might like that, but in my opinion, I just think it's incredibly fucking boring. Um, so honestly, would I recommend somebody playing Avowed? Honestly,
It's so
if
funny.
you have nothing else to play, yes. I had, despite all the bad, I still had a very fun time playing Avowed. I really did. I really still had a fun time. I think a lot of the hate is forced, right? You know, there was one video of a guy I saw doing a review and he was running and I don't remember his name, where he was running a range build. And he said, the combat's so boring. I literally sat here and just left and just, shot him and he was a meat shield and, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you watch his gameplay, he's literally he has one, he's about an hour into the game, an hour and a half into the game. So you should have like pretty much a full skill bar, upgraded weapons, upgraded armor. When I was there, I was in a pretty good spot. I absolutely fucking destroyed this bear. Well, this guy, he had two skills on a skill bar. He was not leveled all the way, or he was not leveled at all. He was using some fucking green bow, and then he was just left clicking. He wasn't holding it or nothing. He was literally just left clicking the bear for like 30 minutes. So it's like, yeah, of course, if you don't take the time to, meet the game halfway and delve into the combat a little bit, you're going to have a really boring fucking time. But, and also the game gives you way too many tools for you to use, for you to say that it's just, for you to say that it's boring. So I feel like a lot of the hate just fucking forced clickbait bullshit. And if you really enjoy the game, you would know. You would know, right? It's one of them things that you know. So, would I recommend this game to somebody? Yes. Um, I would definitely recommend it if you have Game Pass. Would I recommend somebody paying a $70 price tag on it? Absolutely not. The game is not worth 70 fucking dollars. Absolutely not. The game is worth 40. And then even if they flesh out a little bit more and make it, a little, and clean up a little bit of the things, maybe 50, but it is definitely not worth no $70 fucking price tag. Absolutely not. So, the game also has some like friends, like the game has some funny fucking things like most every single city has this issue to where nobody has food, but yet my inventory has like fucking like you can literally scroll through. I have over 300 things of food, to regenerate health or generate essence. There's food everywhere. You literally walk up to an NPC, talk to them. I have no food, and then they have a fucking salad and a few apples in a box right next to them. Um, so the game's got some funny stuff, funny stuff about it, but other than that, I would recommend somebody to play it if they have nothing else better to play. Like especially right now, fucking Monster Hunter's out. I was wanting to get this fucking review over with so I can get back to Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter's out. Fuck. The only reason why I finished Avowed and did not skip it and just go straight to Monster Hunter because I just wanted to do a review. That's what I want to do. I want to stay consistent. But if you don't have anything else better to play, I would definitely recommend Avowed. Avowed to me is a solid, strong 6 at its best, maybe a low 7. So, um, oh, one more thing too, I wanted to mention that I thought it was funny. The main trailer of the game, or even like the introduction cutscene to this game, introduces one of these little Zaboomafoo fucking monkey things. You do not fight a single one of them in the game at all, and they all look like they're perfectly fine. So, anyway, that's pretty much that's my thoughts and my review on the game. If you like it, please like and subscribe or comment below, whatever. Let me know what I can or can't fix. I'm open for discussion, I'm open for feedback, all that good stuff. I stream everything that I do on Twitch, and then I just essentially just export it out to fucking YouTube, and the bots stay there. So, um, I will be playing Monster Hunter for now, probably to the end of time. So, catch me on Monster Hunter. But until then, peace, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.